Hello everyone, Spurs back in the top four after a 1-0 victory over Burnley at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. So welcome back to Speaking Spurs and me, Kieran, talking all things Tottenham. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't done so already. Post the video with a like if you enjoyed it, and please leave your comments below. So let's just talk about it. Before the game, this was our situation right here. I'm aware it didn't come up in the last video for any of you wondering. Technical glitch, wouldn't come up. So here it is. Before the game, this is what we needed to finish above Arsenal, to finish above Chelsea in all situations. So you've got the situation of if Chelsea and Arsenal were to lose both the games. You've also got the situation of what would happen with a draw and loss, a double draw, a draw and win, a double win. All the scenarios there plainly for you. But that has changed now because we've won our game, put ourselves into fourth. We're now above Arsenal. The work is all done for us. It is on them now to push on. So nervy final few moments in this game. Burnley really pushing to get something out of it. They made a couple of attacking substitutions. We saw the return of Aaron Lennon, who got a lovely reception from the Spurs fans. Back in the day when I was a lot younger and quicker, he was my favourite player for a time. Great reception. They also put on Weghorst as well, a player that we were linked with last summer and the January before that. Mainly because they were putting balls into the box. Weghorst, I think it was just a player to get on the end of it. And you might not have noticed this, everybody, but when Roden came on under the cosh for the last few moments, he made a really important header in the last few moments when we were really under the pressure, headed it away, and that actually earned him a nice little hug at the end of the game from Antonio Conte. So despite the lack of minutes that the guys had this season, right when we need him, he switched on, slotted into the back four nicely, and made that header away, get us over the line. In this game, VAR once again comes to the rescue, and in the modern game, the right decision at the vital point of this season to help us get over the line. Kulusevski, he started on the bench. Now that was due to a virus, not corona. It actually hit 4 players within the squad. Conte was talking about that in the build-up to the game. But yeah, well enough to be on the bench. That might explain a little bit about his not so influential performance against Arsenal. The virus might have already started to hit and get in without them realising they had it. So the game itself, the first 20 minutes we dominated possession. Kind of different to how we have done against these teams that have got the low block. Like we dominated not just possession, but we dominated play. We were very good with it. We were trying to be creative, constantly pushing with the ball. Burnley obviously defended it fairly well. We didn't actually manage to score in that time. Then Burnley started to grow into the game once they realised, this is the pattern of play. We need to do something. They had some slightly quicker players up front, but the problem was the way they were going to play. It meant that their defence midfield were going to be so far away from the attack. It didn't really help them in any kind of way, if I'm honest. It took the penalty to give us control again in the game. Barnes with his arm out in an unnatural position within the box, although there is an argument the fact that there was a bit of tussling before that with Sanchez. He might have been a bit off balance. You can actually see he was circling his arm. He was trying to use it to keep his balance up, but when the ball was struck, his arm is still out. He could have got his arm down, but it's one of them where in the modern game it's a penalty. If it had been given against me a few years back, I definitely would have moaned and groaned. But the way it is now, his arm's in an unnatural position. It's inside the box. What can you do? It's going to be given as a penalty. You actually saw in the second half, I can't remember which player it was now, one of the Burnley defenders, a cross came in. He turned round, he turned his back on it, but he tucked his arm right in close so it couldn't be given. And it struck him on the back and the elbow. But because he tucked it in, you're trying to get out of the way. There's nothing the referee could give, despite the appeals from some Tottenham players and the fans alike. But it's given the penalty. Referee went over to view the monitor, decided it was a penalty, and I kind of knew it was going to be a penalty anyway because just before they advised the referee to go over, they were looking at whether there was an offside in the build-up, which there clearly wasn't. So the second they're looking at things in the build-up to the handball, that tells you that the referee's probably going to overturn his own decision to not give the penalty and then give it. So That happened. Kane steps up against an England goalkeeper again, this time in the form of Nick Pope, someone that he takes penalties against all the time when he's on duty for England. But scored it despite the fact that it wasn't his best penalty. He admitted that after the game when he was talking, saying that he might have scuffed it a little bit, but still goes in the back of the net. They all count. Doesn't matter how they go in as long as they go in. But it was still side netting right by the post. It just lacked a bit of power. That's all it was. So yeah, 1-0 up right before the stroke of half time. And then in the second half, Burnley worked really, really hard. Not just defensively, in an attacking sense as well. But we created in the second half still. Son had a couple of chances, but Pope came to the rescue. I will argue that Sonny wasn't clinical enough and put them closer to the goalkeeper than he should. One he put right at Pope. The other one was close enough to Pope when he should have put it closer to the post. One of them, the one that he put right down the middle, I don't know why he didn't just slot it anywhere on the right-hand side and it was going in. Put it in the one place that the keeper was going to get it. So yeah, Pope to the rescue for them. Barnes, he hit the post, worked a nice bit of space for himself. I have to say, if it was just an inch the other side, I don't think Lloris actually gets to it. He's not far off, but that would have rattled the back of the net. So unlucky then, and Barnes could have been the person that became the hero after giving away the penalty. But it was not to be for them, despite the fact that it had been a bit of a bogey team for us. So that win now puts the pressure on Arsenal. Away at Newcastle, very difficult game. Newcastle have had a couple of, I wouldn't say poor results. I suppose losing 5-0 to Man City, you could argue, is a poor result. Only in the amount of goals that they conceded. But the game before that, they also played Liverpool and lost 1-0. But before that, they were on a fairly decent run. Last game in front of their fans, I think they're going to pile the pressure on. And at some point, they've got to break that losing streak. It's 2 games without winning the Premier League, so this could be the one. Arsenal with their injury concerns as well. So I think every single Spurs fan, and I can speak for all of you when I say this, we are all Newcastle fans tomorrow night. And I'm sure many of us will be watching the game very nervous at home. So Conte, after the game, he spoke and he said 3 months ago, we may not have won that game. And that's probably true. I think in the game before Burnley last time, we just beaten Manchester City, then went away to Burnley and suffered a defeat. We just couldn't find a way against a team that gets many players behind the ball to defend it, that don't necessarily attack too much. We lost our concentration in defence and conceded. But Conte now says the team is becoming strong in their mind. So what we'll do, we'll just have a look at that table, nice and pretty, sitting in 4th, just where we want to be. Pressure on Arsenal. It looks nice to see that table. So I had to put it up. Why not? But yeah, fantastic. The Spurs fans played their part in the end. It was nowhere near as loud as it was against Arsenal, which was a bit of a disappointment because I thought after that the fans would have kind of picked up where they left off and pushed the team on because of the importance of it. You know, Conte was urging the fans in the second half to get the noise up in the last sort of 15, 10 minutes when we were really under pressure from Burnley, and it did the job. It got the players going. They really stuck to their jobs behind. So, let's talk about player ratings. Hugo Lloris in goal. He comes away with a 7. He made a decent save 28 minutes in from Cornet. And if any of you were watching the game on BT Sport, you would have seen Paul Robinson, former Spurs and England's number 1, talking, saying that actually, at that moment, Lloris made the wrong decision. He come running out to try and intercept the ball, realised he wasn't going to get there, and then the second part is where he actually did well because he stops exactly where he is. He doesn't continue his run and puts the pressure on Cornet to have to take the shot. Stood his ground, made the save, so that part of it was really good, but initially it was a mistake. Apart from that, it was just crosses really that he had to come out and claim, and he did fairly well. He was very dominant in the air in his own box. 7 from him. Sanchez back in again, obviously for the injured Romero, who he replaced earlier in the season. Strength is the word I wrote. He got an 8. Strong on the ball and in the tackle. He was the player that actually won us the penalty, so he did his bit going forward as well. It wasn't the only time he got forward. In this 3 centre-back system that we've got with Conte, the centre-backs do have a bit more freedom if they make a couple of passes to work their way up the pitch because we got the cover further back if we lose the ball on the counter. There was a shaky moment where he was out by the byline. on the right-hand side. He divered on the ball too long. It was taken off him. Then he made a foul. The referee didn't actually give it as a foul, so we're quite lucky there. But all in all, considering for 2.5 months he hadn't started a game, I think he did really well again. Dyer, he gets an 8 as well. He gave Burnley very little space through the centre. He was always talking throughout the game, which was excellent. Even when he was coming up for corners, he was talking to players in and around the box, telling them what they should be doing, things like that. So, he's kind of like an unofficial captain within the back line. Ben Davies, he also gets an 8. Apart from the one poor pass that he made, he was a battling presence down the left of the back three throughout the game. And he also works really well with Ryan Sessegnon, so that's good. Emerson Royale, he gets a 7. Bright start from him. He had a long shot saved by Pope. I think it might have just been creeping over or hitting the crossbar. But he defended well once again, and he's growing in confidence game by game. He's got his chance because Doherty's out the team, and slowly but surely he's taking that chance. 7 for him. Højbjerg, he comes away with an 8. He ran himself into the ground. Some of his passing was a bit iffy, but he did everything we needed him to do in terms of battling away, showing a bit of passion to get us over the line in this victory. So an 8 for him. Ben Tancour in next to him, he comes away with a 7. Lots of pointing where he wanted the ball to go and things like that, even when he wasn't the man in possession. Very, very talkative display from him. And we all know he's got the experience from his time in Juventus, playing lots of key Champions League games, battling for league titles. So, a nice display from him. He took a knock late on in the game, but he stayed on, carried on. He was very tidy on the ball for the majority of the game as well. Also won a flick on in the box for the corner. It didn't amount to anything in the end. It's good to know that he's becoming a decent presence in all areas. Took a couple of wild shots in the game from range, blazed both over. So composure with shooting, not his biggest aspect, but that's not really what he's in the team for. He's more there for his composure on the ball in deeper places in the pitch. Moving on to Sessegnon on the left-hand side, he's going to get an 8. He was up the pitch right from the start, getting involved in the attack. He had a early pinpoint cross for Kane, which was a chance. An important header 24 minutes in, up against Barnes. He teed up Sonny on the hour mark and in the final 10 minutes. So on a different day, he could have actually had 3 assists. Defended well, and if we can keep him fit, and this is the most important thing because he's really been riddled with injuries, which has halted his career. He's a good player. He's only going to get better. Conte has been speaking highly of him, and I think there's a reason we sent him out on loan last season instead of selling him. There is a player in there if you can keep him fit and he can get rid of these niggling injuries he keeps getting. Lucas Moura, and this is where we were let down. It was the attack today. Lucas Moura gets a 6. He ran at the Burnley defence like he normally does in every game. Windy little runs, but not too much of the quality. He did find Kane with a cross. Struggled to make too much of an impact. He got better as the game went on, but not really enough to help us too much in the game. Which list leads us on to Kane in the middle. He also gets a 6. A couple of early headers that were a little tame. He fired wide as well. He did score the penalty, which he admitted that probably wasn't his best, but nonetheless, it went in the back of the net. He also fired over at the end of a lovely swift break in the second half. And then Sonny, he also gets a 6. He got in some really good positions, but sometimes he wasn't picked out of a pass with delaying too much or took a heavy touch. It wasn't his best day. Some shots that I felt were too close to Pope when he should have done better. And maybe the golden boot is just putting him under a bit of pressure, and that's why he struggled a little bit. Obviously, the injury to Salah could let him in. He's one behind him at the moment, so you never know. Against Norwich, he gets 2 goals, and if Salah is rested, ready for the Champions League final, then we could see Sonny take the golden boot. I hope he does, but it shouldn't be at the expense of us finishing the top 4. Then we move on to the substitutes. Kulusevski came on despite the fact that he's carrying a virus and isn't as well as he would like to be. And it kind of showed, really. He was a little off the pace, but came in to kind of battle and break play up, which he did. He made a couple of fouls that kind of slowed Burnley down in their attacks. And then Roden came on. Wasn't on long enough to really get a score, but I'm going to give him a 6 anyway, just for that important header that he made right near the end. I mean, that is it for today. We've done our job. We are back in the top 4. There is nothing more we could have done in that game. It doesn't matter how many goals we score. All we had to do was get the 3 points. That's what we did. Yes, VAR helped us, but who cares? In the modern game, that's a handball. And I think we deserve the win. I will say that Burnley, they did show a good fight. I really hope they don't go down. They're not a team I dislike in any sense of the word. I feel sorry for Sean Dyche in his situation where he got the sack. But, you know, I do hope they have enough to stay up. Obviously, this was their game in hand today, so they've still got 2 to play. I don't know what the score is in the Leeds game at the moment, but last time I checked, they were losing. So no doubt the Burnley players would have been in the dressing room. They'd have heard that news. That would have given them a boost, knowing they can go into their last 2 games and really fight. And I think they've got enough heart to do it. But on our side, it all rests on Newcastle at the moment. And then if not, we're preying on Everton. So all we got to do now, go to Norwich, last game of the season, next Sunday, put a performance into an already relegated team with half their minds are going to be on holiday mode because they know they're going down. Some of the players will probably be poached for the Premier League. But yeah, all we can do is win. It's not in our hands. Not in our hands if we win. But we shall see. Anything can happen. This is the Premier League. It's a crazy league. It's the best league in the world. That's why we love it. It was our last home game today, so the players were doing their walk around the pitch. All the awards were being done. I saw that Sonny won the Fans Player of the Season. I think Bergwijn got the award for the goal with his 2 late goals up against Leicester, which was absolutely crazy in that game. So, you know, massive season. Fans have definitely played their part in what was a season where we thought, we're not going to be fighting for top 4. Europa League might be difficult again. We've clawed our way back up. Conte has got the players believing. He's got the fans believing. And fingers crossed we can get it over the line. So thanks for sticking around today. Hope you enjoyed that one. Got it up nice and early. I'm going to do a video after the Arsenal-Newcastle game and review that. I know it's not our game. It's not going to be a big review. It's just going to be talking about, you know, the result and how that has affected us and what we need to do. So stick around for that one. That'll be a late one tomorrow night, obviously, because the game is late. Thanks for sticking around. If you haven't done so already and you enjoyed it, please subscribe to the channel. Share the channel with your friends. Let them know. Don't forget to support it with a like and leave your comments below. Have a discussion amongst yourselves. And until next time, come on you Spurs.